In 2013, a British man accidentally threw away a hard drive.
Yeah, I'm absolutely devastated, to be honest. When I realised what I'd done, it was a oh my God moment, if you will.
What we're actually searching for is a bare laptop hard drive.
Every time the price of Bitcoin rises is a reminder of how a small mistake could be detrimental. A torment that has haunted him for more than a decade now. His life has never been the same, and since then has been trying every way to undo his mistake. This is a story of James Howells, a story of regret, guilt and remorse of the millionaire he would have been on one side, but also of determination and unending hope. The hard drive has been lost for more than a decade, and the 8000 BTC was first time in his life he threw away a hard drive despite having second thought.
As soon as I put it in the bin at home, I had a second thought, in the back of my mind. You've never thrown a hard drive out before. Why start now? You shouldn't do this, sort of thing. A little demon in the back of my head, sort of thing.
Little did he know that he was committing a big mistake which would come back a few years haunt him for the rest of his life. Hard drive ended up in a landfill in Newport, in Wales, and it contained the private key file needed to recover the bitcoins. A private key is a 12 to 24 word phrase that serves as a password to a crypto wallet. Howells didn't give up, given the potential reward if he could recover the hard drive. So he decided to pursue the matter and search the landfill, but this did not go very well. Like any quest, challenges awaited him along the way. First, local authorities refused to allow him to search the landfill due to environmental concerns and the logistical difficulties involved. His request was met with skepticism and bureaucratic resistance. The Newport landfill is a massive site, covering an area of approximately 110 square meters and receiving thousands of tons of waste every week. Finding a single hard drive in the vast sea of rubbish would be like searching for a needle in a haystack. Digging through the landfill would not only be costly and time-consuming, but could also pose significant risk to the surrounding area, including the potential release of harmful gases and toxins. Then there were the question of functionality of the hard disk. Given how long the hard disk had stayed in the dump, chances of it being functional was very slim. Hard drives are delicate devices, and the conditions in a landfill are far from ideal. The combination of moisture, pressure, and exposure to corrosive substances would easily render the data irretrievable. Given that the hard disk is made of metallic components, one could argue that it could withstand decay and corrosion over extended periods of time, but this would not be the case with the information stored in the hard disk. The platter is the most important part of the disk since it stores data, and under such conditions, it is more likely that the magnetic coating on the platters will start to degrade by corrosion, causing corruption or even total loss of information. If the platters were made of glass, they might shatter under pressure of the overlying waste or even during compression of the waste, rendering the data unrecoverable. Or even if they were made of aluminium, exposure to moisture would lead to oxidation, further compromising the letter's structural integrity. The fight between Howells and Newport authorities continued. Days turned into weeks, and then months, and eventually years. But he didn't give up. He had been formulating a plan all through, and in 2022 he announced his intention to continue with the search. His plan was ambitious, bringing together specialists like Remy LeGrand, Liam McLean, Michael Flynn, Trevor Snell, Wayne Jones, and Paul Bridge. The other members of the team were venture capitalists Hans Peter Zierberg and Carl Wanderborn, who promised to fund the project so long as Howells would get the Newport authorities to agree to the plan. To back up their optimism, Paul Bridge pointed to previous cases where data had been successfully recovered from hard drives that had been submerged in water or exposed to fire.
And that would include the recovery of data from media that's been struck by lightning, dropped in the sea, recovered from an airplane crash, even the black box from the ill-fated Columbia Space Shuttle.
The plan involved conveyor belts, AI-powered machines, and human sorters. The AI-powered machines would count garbage on the conveyor belt and try to pinpoint anything which looked like a drive, and the human sorters would go through everything similar to a drive. Howells and his team had spent years to come up with an actionable plan, but the hand of fate would prove them otherwise. Despite having come up with a plan, he still had to convince Newport authorities to let him search his drive, but their previous decision would remain unchanged. No digging, no searching. Even after he offered it €55 million, the council explained that the cost of digging up the landfill, storing and treating the waste could run into millions of pounds, without any guarantee of either finding or still being in working order. Excavation is not possible under our licensing permit, and excavation itself would have a huge environmental impact on the surrounding area. At this time, it would appear Howells may have reached the end of the road. However, given the price at stake, it would not be entirely surprising to see the matter proceed to court, and you probably wouldn't blame him. On September 4, 2023, his legal team sent an open letter demanding that the council allow Mr. Howells to access and begin work on the site by September 18. They are preparing for a legal battle to stop the council allowing other works on the site, and is seeking damages of $557 million, the highest valuation of the missing Bitcoin. He is also seeking judicial review on the council's decision to refuse him access to the dam. Howells once said, "I have tried everything I can for 10 years. They didn't want to play the ball. So now we have to go down the legal route." The story of James Howells is a modern treasure hunt and a stark reminder of the importance of backing up and securely storing digital assets. Will he ever find his lost fortune? Only time will tell.